I thought today we could take a couple minutes and just talk about pitching, because pitching is one of those things that writers love to do. They get very excited about it. They're eager about it. They think about a positive future result. Oh man, if I nail this pitch, somebody's going to come read my thing, look at my thing, click this, do something. They're going to engage with it, and they make their best attempt at a pitch, and then the pitch doesn't work. It falls a little flat. It gets a little dull. It ends up being this big blob of text that doesn't really engage with somebody, but it throws things at their face, and it could be better. So let's talk about pitching. Let's talk about how to get away from the nonsense sort of formula of pitching you might see in writing contests and how just it doesn't matter. Let's talk about pitching. If you don't know who I am, I'm John. Hi, I'm the John from John Helps You Write Better, and I'm a writing coach and developmental editor. I've been doing this since 1997. It is my absolute sheer joy, pleasure, and privilege to do this, to help writers of all different kinds, doing all different kinds of things, from novels to short stories to plays to screenplays to web novels to comics to sex work to marketing to you name it with words, and I've done it. One of the things I love most to do is pitch. I love helping people pitch because I love that sense of excitement and that sense of enthusiasm and that sense of eagerness to go do something with it. Fun fact, though, I hate pitch contests, I'm making air quotes, because they're poorly done and they don't actually teach anything or do anything. But a good pitch is amazing, and I want to teach you how to do that today. So we're going to start with what a pitch is. And a pitch is a fluid balance between information, that's fact, stuff in your story, the names, the characters, the plot, the world, the bad guys, the continents, the kingdom, the magic, the wizards, the Balrog, the whatever. It's the stuff in your story plus emotion. And that's the reader's side of this, experience or equation. It's what the reader is feeling when they read the story or when they hear the pitch or when they engage with you in your work. It's the emotion you want them feeling. It's the emotion you want them to more or less have. You can't make it. You can't force it, but you can sure encourage it. You can really develop it. That's what matters. So let's just give some structure to this. There's no magic number of sentences a pitch should be. There isn't really a should. There isn't really a formula to use. It's not X plus Y plus Z. Or how you might see it in some contests. Again, I'm making air quotes. Thing 1, X, thing 2, X, thing 3. No, just no, none of that. Nope, no thank you. Really what we're looking for here are sentences. Usually more than one, usually at least more than 12 words. Usually that's a good sign. And somewhere between 3 and 5 sentences will do more than enough. It's okay if it's 2. It's okay if it's 1, as long as it's communicating information plus emotion. But really, if you're unsure and you don't really know where to start, aim for 3 to 5 sentences. It'll give you a nice bit of structure. Now, if you're asking, well, if 12 words is the minimum, how big is too big? Oh, it's big, real big. Paragraphs, multiple paragraphs, pages. Too big is obvious. Just aim for 3 to 5 sentences. It'll get you where you need to be, I promise. And we're trying to balance fluidly, not entirely 50-50, but certainly 45-55, maybe 60-40. We're trying to strike some balance between emotion and information. And every pitch is different. Every lens, we're going to talk about lenses and framing our ideas in a second, but every kind of pitch to every individual audience is different. I'm going to pitch one thing one way to one person and then a second way differently to a second person, and that's fine. It's okay. You're not trying to make this Swiss Army knife where I have one pitch and I say it and then everybody gets it and everybody's into it. It's just not that. That's why, there are products we sell with multiple commercials on TV. That's why trailers for movies aren't just one thing over and over again. You never know what's going to engage with the reader. You never know what's going to engage with your potential audience. So we make this fluid balance, and if it doesn't work for this person, we'll try it again differently for that person. But it's a shifting sands principle of a little bit of emotion and a little bit of information over and over and over again. Now, when we skew too far, when we go the other way and the balance is thrown way out of whack, let's say, for instance, you have a lot of emotion and you get really light on information. It happens. Usually when you get very excited, you get somebody who's maybe not so experienced and not quite sure what to say, but certainly it happens. When it does happen, you end up with a pitch that feels poorly structured, even if you don't mean it to be. But it feels messy, it feels disjointed, and it's unfortunately forgettable because it's all vibes. It's all feeling. It has very big, trust me, I swear this is cool energy. And that's not really the way we want to communicate for our story or for our work or whatever it might be. We don't want to rely on emotion to carry all that heavy lifting. It's sort of like when you talk to somebody and they have to keep telling you how cool they are. If you got to keep telling me, you're not all that cool. The technical term for this is popcorn writing. It's good, like popcorn's nice, but it's not filling. It's not satisfying. So we're looking to not skew heavily into emotion and light on information. But likewise, we're not trying to go the other way either, where we're heavy on information and light on emotion. What happens when we go heavy info, light emo, we end up with this sort of dry, dull, sluggish, almost summary of a story that doesn't have any feeling, but you're just hurling fact at the reader's or the listener's face. And it doesn't really, they don't know what to do with it. If I tell you 25 things that are cool about this story, oh, there's this and this and this and this and this and this, okay, what are you supposed to do with that? How is that supposed to make you feel? Where do we go with this? And if it becomes a summary, the question becomes then, well, if you've just told me everything, you told me about all the characters, you told me what the plot is, why do I have to read it now? You just told me everything. Over information under emotion is dry. It's overly structured, whereas over emotion under information felt very loose. This is the other end of that. So what we want to do, where we want to go, what we want to find is somewhat of a balance between those two things, where we have some information and some emotion, and you're going to pick and choose what those things are. We're going to talk about how to do that right now. You're going to pick and choose these things, but where you're getting those ideas from and how you're going to organize it, we are going to identify the elements. Elements is just a fancy way of saying the information, the stuff in the story. And you're going to make a list, giant list all the things, the characters, the setting, the world, the wizard, the horse, the chicken, the gonzo, the whatever, all the things. If it could go into a pitch, it goes in this list. You don't judge it. You don't evaluate it. You don't try to prioritize it. We're just accumulating information. And the more we get on this list, the better. But know also that not everything on this list is going to end up in a pitch. At least not one pitch. You might have to come up with a couple different pitches depending on your thing. But it's always better to have loads of different opportunities and options, as opposed to, again, no Swiss Army knife, no one single pitch that we just roll out always and it universally works. So we start with a list. Just get all the information out of your head and down on paper somewhere. And then if we're looking for examples, like if we were going to do Fellowship of the Ring, our list would include, the Hobbits and Mordor and the Ring and Gollum and Gandalf and Legolas and humans and the Balrog and the Mines and the whole Fellowship as a whole and the Shire and the Uruk-hai and Bill the Pony and Gimli and Sauron and other elves. And there's 25 other things we could include on this list, but the slide's only so big. But it's just a list. We don't rank it. We don't prioritize it. We don't say, oh, we definitely have to have this. Or, oh, I can't believe I forgot that. Don't evaluate it. Just get it down. And then once we do, we want to start grouping things or thinking about how we can group things, how we can organize things because of a certain lens or a certain idea. A lens is a viewpoint, a view on things, a view on the relationship between things. Oh, if I'm going to make this sound like an action story, I'm going to grab my most action-y elements. If I'm going to try and talk up the fact that this is a romance, I'm going to find the most romantic things, the most interesting emotional details, and I'm going to pull them forward. A lens is how we categorize some of the information. Not all the information, because very clearly a book or a story or a movie or a comic or a web novel or a cartoon or whatever isn't only just one thing. But it's our lenses that we choose. Okay, this is the pitch I break out when I want to lean on the emotion. This is the pitch I break out when I want to lean on the action. This is the pitch I break out when I want to try and make this sound fun, whatever. We are looking for lenses. We are looking for groups and relationships. And we're going to do that by making decisions, because writing is the act of making decisions. You've been making decisions this entire time with your manuscript. Now you're going to do it with your contents, your elements, your stuff. So if we were choosing some things for for Fellowship, we would choose things with an easy relationship, like the Fellowship in the mines fighting the Balrog all go together because that's a big scene in the book. That's a big thing in the movie. It makes sense that there's some kind of relationship there. It's where the Fellowship comes together and fights everybody off and then, loses Gandalf and you shall not pass. That's a thing. Easy relationship. We can use that in lots of different ways. We could zoom all the way out and not just have a list of everything, but talk about the Fellowship as a group of people overcoming a number of obstacles. Goblins, Balrogs, Christopher Lee, etc., working together for a common goal. Sure, easy relationship there, easy way to think about stuff, easy way to put stuff together. What we wouldn't do is grab stuff that is just because it's in the book or just because it's in the story, it must go together. That's not enough of a connection. So, for instance, the wizard fight, the Balrog, and Sean Bean getting killed. Yeah, they're in the movie, but they don't have anything to really do with each other. They're happening at different points in the movie. They happen because of different reasons. They don't really have any consequences to each other. Just because there's a Balrog doesn't mean there had to be a wizard fight before it. And it doesn't work that way. So not everything is going to be stitched together easily. By the way, if you're watching this and you can find a way to connect the wizard fight, the Balrog, and Sean Bean dying, let me know. I would love to hear it. But we're going to keep moving forward. And we're going to choose that lens to tie our choices together. So we're going to find a way to connect the elements we've chosen. Now, you're not going to encompass everything. This isn't a net trying to catch all the pieces. This is more just a matter of organizing the few things we have in a certain vector in a certain way. Our goal is to show our story, whatever it is, movie, book, film, pictures, whatever, as a thing. I want to talk about this story in hyping its romantic dimension. I want to talk about this thing hyping its action dimension. I want to talk about it as a political thriller. I want to talk about it as a comic, whatever. I'm going to choose those things that demonstrate that idea, that demonstrate the thing I'm trying to say. It shows off X. That's what we're looking to do, a way to tie our choices together. So Bill and Ted, we can use as our example. Now, this is a slide from a not yet released video, so consider this a sneak peek. But we've got Bill and Ted with a problem. They've got a past history class. How are they going to do it? Well, it ends up that they meet themselves and get a magic time machine from George Carlin, who tells them to go through history and grab, famous people so they can give the first TED Talk at school and then, save the day and totally rock out. That's the basic plot. We can pick and choose a lot of different elements. We can talk about Bill and Ted. We can talk about the future. We can talk about the music. We can talk about the famous people. We can talk about how the dad in Bill and Ted is both Ted's dad, but also he's Abraham Lincoln. Same actor, two different roles. There's loads of different stuff we can talk about. But we pick and choose our elements, trying to organize our story so that it's information plus emotion. So we're going to pick and choose. We're going to talk Bill and Ted. We're going to talk about needing to pass history class. We're going to talk about, meeting themselves and getting the phone booth and then grabbing people together and trying to do that. We're not going to talk about, by the way, they get arrested. By the way, Bill's dad finally, or Bill and Ted's parents both hear this thing and it's the world's first TED Talk. And at the end, they both get the princesses and it's great. We don't need those parts. They don't fit this particular pitch. There are other pitches we can talk about with those, but not this one. So we have our history class plot, we have a little bit of story, and we have some vibes, which turns our pitch into dudes and dudettes. Bill and Ted totally have to pass their history class. To do it, they need to travel through time and meet up with some cool people throughout history. It's either going to be most excellent or most heinous. Simple, easy, straightforward pitch. It doesn't cover everything. We left a lot out there. We didn't detail Napoleon at the water slide or anything, or, the fact that Bill's new mom is a former classmate or something. We don't cover the weirdness of an 80s movie, but we pick and choose our pieces to get across the things we want to. We're not trying to cover everything. We just have a particular lens, be excellent to each other, party on, dude vibes. grab that vibe, use that to talk about our plot, use it to talk about our stuff in an exciting, engaging way, and the pitch comes together with enough rehearsal and practice. So let's recap. Pitches are information plus emotion. A pitch is not a summary. We want to avoid doing X meets Y meets Z, the three combo platter that too many authors use, because those things are really vague. It's lazy. You're going to tell me that your story is Law and Order meets Navy SEALs meets Wallace and Gromit. Okay, what parts of any of those things are communicated in that XXX formula? Like, what am I supposed to do with that information? Instead of using somebody else's language, instead of using somebody else's titles, instead of using somebody else's stuff, use your words. How would you talk about this? 3 to 5 sentences is plenty. We're trying to tie things together that have a relationship that gives some indication of a little character, a little plot, a little bit of stakes and potential, because we want to encourage somebody to get more information. And there is no one right way to do this. There is no one right magic trick. There's going to be loads of different ways to do this, and your way is going to look different than my way, going to look different than their way over there, going to look different than the pitches you're going to do a month from now if you practice this. It doesn't have any specific one right way or magic thing you're supposed to be doing. This isn't school. We're not trying to pass a test. Just practice. Now, if you watch this and you're seeing this on YouTube and you've got questions like, what do I do about this? How about this? Go leave them down below in the YouTube comments. I would love to answer them. Seriously, all questions welcome. I'll do some examples, whatever it is you'd like to do. Just leave me some comments down below. So thank you so much for checking this out. I hope a shorter video isn't the worst thing in the world. It's the first time I'm trying short content, so hey, we tried it together. I want to thank you so much for being here. If you want more help, check out more videos on the channel, as well as please don't forget to like and subscribe. It's cool. It makes me happy. It allows me to do more things like this. And if you want personal help with anything you're doing, head over to johnhelpsyouwritebetter.com. I would be absolutely happy to help you with your pitch or help you with whatever it is you're making, doing, or planning on doing. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.